I met Guillermo years ago when he was doing Hellboy 2, and we really hit it off. He was looking at me to play one of the, remember the Prince and Princess in Hellboy 2? He was looking at me to play the prince, and he'd already cast the girl, and we did a prosthetic test, and he felt like I just didn't look. He wanted them to be identical twins, and he just felt like I didn't look similar enough to her. But we really liked each other, and he said, I'll get you, I definitely want to work with you at some point down the line. And then through working with Ron, because of his relationship with Ron, he'd been watching Sons of Anarchy, and then he would, send me some messages once in a while, like he thought I was doing, great work, and he liked the show a lot, and all that kind of stuff. And then he just called me. It's ironic that for the by far and away the biggest opportunity I've ever been given required the least amount of work to get it. I just drove up to his house in his legendary man cave, bleak house, and he just said, "Hey, cabron, so he got them giant monsters in a robot. You're gonna be in his brain, and you kick his ass and save the world and get the girls. You want to do it?" And I said, "Yep." Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And that was it. I didn't even read the script or anything. I just talked with him for 2 hours. And listen, I would do anything with Guillermo. I think he's such a talented filmmaker. And it sounded wonderful. He showed me some diagrams of the world and the Jaegers and the Kaijus. And more importantly, there was very clearly from the beginning a human story that he was trying to tell. And he talked right from the beginning, and it's very subtle in the movie, but it's clearly an allegory for what's going on in our world today. Like, we're facing some pretty giant problems, and if we don't get our act together and forget our petty differences and come together and try to figure out how to solve them, this world is not going to keep nourishing us for much longer, and I think that's, a really beautiful message that, in these giant movies, you get to explore huge themes like that, and I think that was a really important message that, that Guillermo wanted to make with this movie. He just said, "Get ready." And I said, "What does that mean?" It's pretty ominous. And he said, "Just get ready." And then I saw what he meant. He's got more energy and more passion for the process than anyone I've come across in Hollywood. And he's wonderful, but he is a total slave driver, and like, just for instance, it's kind of like a sleight of hand in a certain way. He presents these things like, "Oh, it's going to be amazing, man. We're going to actually build a con pod, and you're actually going to do it." And I said, "Yeah, that sounds fantastic," because I was nervous about the green screen, and the less you have to pretend, the better it's going to be. And then I got in it, and I was like, "Oh, can we not green screen this?" I mean, it was horrible being in that thing. Like, really, I'm not even joking. Like, it was horrible. It was like being on an elliptical for 14 hours a day while wearing a suit of armor that weighs 40 pounds, while Guillermo sprays fire at you and 250 gallons of water a minute. And I was like, wow, this is intense. And I was in there for 27 days. So it was pretty intense. I think that's going to be a little easier. That's a little easier. I'm really excited. There's not, this is such a, it was such a compliment to, like, right after we finished shooting, for him immediately. He told me at the end, he said, I really loved working with you, and you did everything I asked of you, with very little complaints. And I said, well, I don't remember it that way, but thank you. And then, and he said, and I really, really want to work with you again. But I didn't think that, like, 3 months down the line, he'd be offering me another lead role. So, it's kind of cool.